So, again, my name is Amber, and I will be your host today. As I mentioned yesterday, I have a background in business as well as education, and play attention has been a really integral part in both areas of that. So, I want to talk today about how to know who your audience is, because we really spoke yesterday about ensuring that we are working with a specific group to solve their problems. So, if you're familiar with Play Attention, you know that Play Attention works with a wide variety of clients, and we're going to hit on that today. But how do we know what that out of that wide variety, who we need to engage with, who it's going to be effective for us to engage with? Because everyone's going to be different when we talk about using Play Attention as your business. So, as I mentioned, we talked about Canva yesterday. So, today we're going to be talking about knowing and finding your audience. But tomorrow we're going to talk about how to engage with those clients once you've identified them. How do we engage with them? Thursday, we're going to talk about reaching more clients. So, really, the next few days are going to layer on top of each other. So, who are they? How do we work with them? And how do we reach more of them? Because that's how we're going to build as we go forward. And then remember, Friday is our Q&A. So if you have very specific questions that maybe don't relate to any of those areas, or you would like to dig a little deeper in some of these areas, please feel free to share those questions with me. I know we had a couple great questions before we wrapped up yesterday that I was able to answer, but please share those questions with me. You can either email me, you can reply back to the reminder regarding the upcoming webinar, you can reply back to the recording that gets sent out. You can put them in the chat box, that longer in-depth question, because I want to make sure that I'm hitting those and we're spending time on those Fridays. So Friday probably will not be the full 45 minutes to an hour that we generally will go. But if there's that many questions, we will address that. So just make sure you get those sent over. That way I can make sure I'm pulling the information out that's going to be effective for those questions. So let's talk about how do we determine our target market, right? So let's put a little bit of context around that. And our target market is a group of clients for which our services are aimed, right? So when we start talking about our target market, we want to get very specific, right? Sometimes if we cast too broad of a net, then we're really struggling to pinpoint those specific individuals that we want to help and that we know we can assist, right? So how do we determine that target market? Because as I mentioned before, Play Attention works with a wide variety: children, adults, individuals with ADHD, individuals on the spectrum, individuals that are looking for peak performance, right? So there's a wide variety. So how do we determine who is going to work best with us? And that's, I think, the really great question that you need to ask yourself is, I'm not going to be able to tell you who your target target market audience is, but you are going to be able to do that. But we have to do some work, right, to find that. Let's answer some questions. Let's go through some worksheets to determine who are those individuals. So number one, and I'm going to bring up a couple of worksheets here in a second that are located on our certified provider portal. Remember, we talked about yesterday, Play Attention provides a lot of great information already done for you. And so, yes, we provide the marketing every single month to include graphics and ebooks and PowerPoints with scripts, but we also provide the business documents necessary, the business guidance, if you will, necessary for you to determine your market and what strategies are going to work best in that market, right? But number one, we have to start with goal setting, right? What goals do we want to achieve? How are we going to determine our leads, our sales, and our margins, right? So all of this, and this is really why the certified provider piece was developed within Play Attention, because so many of our professionals that we work with are fabulous at the Play Attention piece, right? They know how to engage with their clients. They know how to help their clients. They're very passionate about Play Attention, but To find those clients, right, we have to do the business aspect of it. And that can be tricky. The marketing and business aspect can be tricky for a lot of individuals. So in our certified provider program, we do provide documents and guidance for you for building that piece so you can spend more time doing what you love and doing what you enjoy, and that's working with those clients, right? And then what are our conversion rates, right? What do we need to continue to move forward, and what do we need to grow? And really, I think the if you take all of that information and you try to make it as simple as possible, what you're trying to do here is answer the who, what, where, when, and why. And sometimes even the how, but we're going to get into the how later this week. But we really want to determine who is it and what do we want to help them with? Where are we going to do that? When are we going to do that? And what is our why? You hear that so much across businesses. What is your why? And that's really why individuals or companies create mission statements, right? What is our why? As long as we're falling always back to that why, we're going to be successful in these other areas. Okay. So that seems very simple, right? But when we start to dig into it, it can be very, very complex. So let me go ahead and pull up the Play Attention Certified Provider portal for us. And we're going to start working through that a little bit today and looking at those different pieces. And then we're going to circle back around to all of the areas that Play Attention is effective with. And then how can we engage once we determine those groups of individuals that we want to work with? What are some areas to start engaging with them, right? So let me go ahead and bring up the Certified Provider portal for us here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So what you should see is our certified provider, our Play Attention portal. If you see that on my screen, go ahead and type in a Y or a yes in the chat box. That way I can make sure that what I'm seeing on my screen is what you're seeing as well. So you should see the Play Attention portal. You should see the different pieces of it. Now, we have talked a lot about our certified provider program. And I think that is, when we start talking about business growth, when we start talking about marketing, they go hand in hand. And when you do become a certified provider with Play Attention, you do not only get access to the materials you see here, however, you work with one of us and we really take you through that process and really help you pinpoint specifically those areas. So you are working through these different worksheets, these different pieces, the goals, the matrices, all of those different pieces, but you have guidance from us in helping with that process. And I think the reason why this is so important and it's so valuable for clients is because you're looking specifically at Play Attention, and we do specifically Play Attention. You're not working with just a business coach that works across a lot of different businesses. You're working with individuals that are specific to Play Attention. So I want to first kind of show you. So this is the portal we have available. And so number one, you see in the portal, you see that business guidance, right? That is step number one, right? We need to have that guidance. We need to start working through those goals. And that's where you're going to see that. So if I click on the business guidance here, there are different pieces here. So we talked about marketing yesterday. So there is a whole marketing section, right? You're going to get brand new marketing materials, but there's marketing guides and templates in our portal as well. And so not just providing you with it, but giving you the tools to start building that strategy. Because one provider strategy is going to look different than another provider strategy, or one business's strategy is going to look different. There are some similarities and there's some tools that we're going to all use, but the way we use them are going to look different, right? So next is goal setting, right? So I'm going to go ahead and collapse our marketing here, and I'm going to look a little bit at our goal setting here. And so here is where we want to start building our goals and our goal setting. And let me hop back up here to the marketing real quick. I want to show you something specific here. And it looks like it's right up in here in this area. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to start looking at goals. And we specifically want to look at SMART goals. We have a worksheet in here that's on SMART goals, because when we start looking at SMART goals, we get very specific, measured, we create action items, we look at how we look at the retention of those, and then we look through all of those different pieces of the SMART goal. And I think that's the first step when we're talking about goals, is you need to be very, very specific in your goals, right? So not I want to start a play attention business, or not I want to grow my play attention business. We need to spend time. And I think this is where a lot of businesses fail. I hate to use that word, but that is true, because we're not planning ahead. And you think about the play attention program, and we're very specific in what we do in the play attention program, right? There's very specific modules that individuals are working on, and we're going through a process. Sheer Genius is setting goals for us, right? And so the same methodology that works needs to be applied when we're looking at our business, right? So we need to look at our guide. We need to plan. What are those goals? Is the timelines behind those goals, and what are my action items? And I think that's a really important piece that we miss, is those action items. So I want to grow my business by 10%. Okay, excellent. What are my strategies? I'm going to start marketing to this group. This is the marketing that I'm going to use. And these are my action items. These are the pieces of marketing I'm going to use. And then this is how I'm going to determine if those strategies are working, because that's a really important piece that we're going to talk about too. Key performance indicators. What strategies are working? What are we doing? And what's working? Because we need to track that as well, because we don't want to be continuously either putting marketing money in, or just time in general. We talked about how much time marketing can take into a strategy that's not working for us. And that's where the conversion rate is going to come in, the sales. What do we need to do? Because at the end of the day, play attention is a business. And yes, you're helping people. And yes, you're very passionate about that. But at the end of the day, we have to have that return on investment. We have to have those conversions as well. And so we have a conversion calculator built into this as well. So looking at that piece and helping us determine, okay, this is what I need. This is my bottom line. And so this is what I need to convert into clients so that I can move forward. Now we're going to talk as we progress this week and how many different ways you can engage clients. There's not a one size fits all. So a lot of our providers that are on here now are doing one-to-one, but there's a lot of other options that we can do, that we can mix and match and work with clients and increase that return on investment and bring in some of that in some of that income that's a little bit more passive, right? Than not active necessarily always having that one-to-one piece, right? So bringing that in. Then we have the lead generator strategies, right? So what are the strategies that I'm working on? So this is a guide to provide us with different pieces of information that are there and available to us. So what are the different ways that I'm looking for leads? Okay. Am I doing ebooks? Am I providing webinars? Am I sending out flyers with comment cards that are coming back? Am I working on maybe I have an affiliate program? Do I have a program that is a word of mouth, right? So a referral type of program. What are those leads? What are those strategies that I'm using to bring those leads in, right? And let's start tracking how those are working. What am I getting from those? And there's, you can do that. You can either create your own spreadsheet looking for that. Some websites will track that for you, where you ask them to put, where did I hear about your business? Did I hear about it through word of mouth? And then who was that person? Did I download an ebook? Did I attend a webinar? Where are those leads coming from, right? So if you have a smaller group, that's going to be, or a smaller set of strategies for your leads, it's going to be a little bit bigger to track that. If you have a bigger group, you're going to have to put in a little bit of time. But if you're brand new to Play Attention, or your Play Attention program's not very big, and you have not started this, this is a really great tool to implement because it really helps ensure we're getting the most bang for our buck. We talked about yesterday how much time can be put into marketing. And so we want to make sure the time that we're putting in, whether it's 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, is bringing in the numbers that we're looking for, right? We don't want to go down a path that we continue to throw money and time in, and then we're not getting anything back from that. Okay. So then we can look into our marketing matrix and key performance indicators. So these are, again, great materials that are going to provide you. And I could do a webinar just on marketing matrix, right? I could talk all about the different metrics that are available to marketing. I could talk about key performance indicators. But we want to provide a variety of pieces in our workshops. So this is material that's there and available for our certified providers, and that that you get directly. You're able to work with one of our representatives on and really help you specifically, because I could do a webinar on key performance indicators, and as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be some similarities, but they're not going to be the same across the board. So we want to provide that specific guidance for a group that's doing counseling versus an individual that's doing tutoring, right? You can see where that's different. The way that I'm going to work my leads as a counseling organization, maybe I'm working with some businesses to provide me with clients. Maybe I'm working with schools, where if I'm a tutor, yeah, I'm probably going to be maybe working with some schools, but I'm going to be doing lots of referrals, right? Lots of word of mouth. And so really helping with those different pieces, but that's all there and that's all available for us. And so if we get into our goal setting and planning, here's where my, my guide to goal setting is going to be here. Oh, I hit on this one earlier. So lead generation strategies, my marketing and matrix. So these I all hit on before, right? So these are all the different pieces that I can hit on as I go forward, because I need to determine what are all of these different pieces. So another area that we really seem to forget when we're building our program and we're building who we want to engage in is a SWOT, right? A SWOT analysis. Okay, so we need to look at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and threats that are around us, right? So what are our strengths? What can we play to the best? What are some weaknesses that maybe we want to avoid, right? Maybe I have a background with elementary, right, students. And so I work really, really well with children and kids, and I have that connection and I have that engagement. So I wouldn't say that it's bad that my weakness is on adults, but I know what my strength is. So that's not saying that you're never going to work with adults, but you're going to start in that strength area, right? We're going to work on building and strengthening those areas that we do well. And then we're either going to then build our skills on those areas that we're weak, or bring in individuals that have a strength with adults. And then all of a sudden we're gaining that traction as we go forward. So I want to share that with you. I have that worksheet available here. So let me pull it up. And so I believe this is the one here. Yeah. So this is smart marketing goals. So we want to look at all of these different pieces here as we're going forward. So this is actually on SMART goals, the one that I have pulled up. I'll bring up the other one here in just a second. But this shows you the detail behind, and let me make this bigger so everybody can see. This shows you the detail behind not only providing you with information on how to do it, right? So it starts from the very beginning, right? Marketing 101, how to set a smart marketing goal. We don't want to just say, oh, I'm going to just post on Facebook every day. Posting on Facebook every day is going to get you a little bit of traction, but we have to have a strategy behind that. What are we trying to gauge out of that? Who are we trying to meet? Where are we trying to get them to do? How are we trying to convert them, right? So when you talk about marketing and you talk about sales, very often you hear of the funnel, right? So you're starting up here. Your Facebook is your beginning of your funnel, but you're trying to get them all the way down to the bottom of that funnel. The bottom of that funnel is a sale, right? Whatever that looks like for you, bringing on a new client to do long-term, whatever that looks like as we go along, but we're trying to get them to that bottom point, right? So this is going to provide you with all of that information, right? Common business goals. It's even going to provide you with examples of what to do, your objectives, your marketing objectives, and then looking at those different pieces, the specific goal, the measurable goal, the aspirational goal, or is it attainable, right? Is this a logical goal for me to create right now? Is it realistic, right? Attainable, realistic, and then time bound. What is that time on it? What is that timeline that I need to move forward as I go through? And then as you scroll all the way down, again, talks about the funnel, right? Mapping your goals in your funnel. And then continues, how to 10 times your goal. And it really provides you with a lot of great tools. And then you've got a worksheet that goes along with this. So let me go back over and bring up the strengths and weaknesses area for us, because it's as simple as that. When you're in your goals here and looking at the different pieces, what you need to do is you just go through the worksheet, and then you click on what you're looking for to get. Okay, and you just click on the different pieces here. Again, here's our how to do a SWOT analysis. If I click on this, I can download it. It's going to download onto my onto my computer. And then let me go ahead and share this with us. So let's go ahead and bring that up. So here is the SWOT analysis. So you're going to just, again, how to do it. It's going to tell you, what is it? How is it helping us, right? It's looking at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats, right? So I kind of got off this when I started talking, because I pulled up the SMART goal. But when we look at this, it really helps us explore the who, what, where, when, why, right? Because it's looking at what we do well. It's looking at areas maybe we're not so strong at. So when we do the what, right, that really goes with the who and the what. So my who, I work really well with elementary age students, right? I really can engage with parents. Maybe I am a parent myself. I've used play attention with my own children, right? I engage really, really well with them. I can relate to their pain points. The what, or the how, even, I engage with them well, face to face, right? I do that well. I don't have as good of the connection if we're doing Zoom or we're doing virtual. So I want to bring them in. I want to maybe host town halls, right? Host events, because when I'm engaging with those parents directly, I do better, right? So those are the opportunities that I'm going to be able to connect and generate those leads. Are there others in my area that are doing the same thing, right? What are those competition? What's that competition look like? What's the market look like? Do I have individuals that are looking to provide guidance and additional resources for their children? Or am I in an area that's heavily working professionals, right? Adult professionals. So looking at all of those pieces are really going to help us define those questions. And it's not something you're going to be able to just do in one day, right? It's something that you're going to really need to look at, to brainstorm, and to work through as we move forward. So I wanted to share that with you, because that's something I think we really forget when we're going through. And here are questions, right? So it's going to provide you with guidance of what questions am I asking myself to answer these, and so that I can really create this in a way that's going to make me very, very successful. Okay. So when we're looking at all those pieces, so let me go ahead and go back to our portal here. All of this is here, and all of this is available. So if you're currently a play attention professional and you're not using our certified provider and you want this material, type in certified provider and we'll connect with you. So now I want to kind of transition. And now that we've determined who, what, where, when, why, I want to provide you with some ways that you can engage with them, right? So this is a great way to determine all of those answers. But if you have those answers, I want to provide you with guidance on what we do to work with those individuals. So let's see here. Let me get back to my slides here. And so we're back on our slides, and we talked about kind of how we answer these questions. What are tools available to us? What can we do? Now, before we talk about the different ways to engage them, I want to remind you that just because maybe you don't have a background in education, you are a parent that has somebody that's used play attention, that does not mean that there's not an individual that can benefit from play attention that you have experience with. I think that's the great thing when we start talking about play attention is 5 years old and up, right? 5 years old and up. We have professionals that specifically work with our aging population, right? They work with our adults that as we get older, we lose a little bit of cognitive skills. They work with adults that have had a stroke, right? They work with adults that have early onset dementia and work with them. So it doesn't have to be a child. That is the great thing about play attention is we always say here from 5 to 105 because there's not an age because of the neuroplasticity that is in our brain, we can always learn. If we're provided the right tool, the right feedback, and the right challenge, our brain can always continue to grow because of that neuroplasticity that's there and it's available. So, yes, clients with executive function disorder. So, that is the piece of play attention that we're providing. That is the solution, building those executive function skills. So, clients don't have to be diagnosed with ADHD. We work with many clients that do because we know that that weak executive function is comorbid, right, with ADHD. But we work with individuals that are on the spectrum, right? Because again, weak executive function goes hand in hand with that. Individuals that have had traumatic brain injuries, so concussions, that's a huge piece in sports right now with young adults or even teens working with individuals that have experienced a concussion, right? So, really helping them because when we have that traumatic brain injury, it affects our cognitive ability, which is our executive function, right? Individuals with post traumatic stress syndrome. So, we know a lot of individuals that experience trauma sometime in their life and have PTSD have weak executive function. So, helping them with those executive function skills clients struggling with cognitive skills necessary for learning. So if you're focusing specifically on individuals that are in academics, very effective because as I mentioned yesterday, we're really focusing right now on reading comprehension. And we know that reading comprehension is specifically tied to executive function skills. So when we build those executive function skills, we see improvements in academics. And so helping individuals with that. Clients who are concerned about cognitive decline due to age. I mentioned that earlier, right? Our aging population. Clients who want peak performance training. So you take all of these above, and they're all looking at a deficit, right? There's a deficit, something there that's causing a weakness. However, play attention can also be used for peak performance, right? So individuals that are athletes, are professionals in high level that want to be at that very peak performance. Because remember, because play attention is able to meet you at your level and our auto adjust algorithm is able to adjust you at any level, that even at that top level, sheer genius is still going to push you just a little bit further. So very effective with peak performance. So you don't necessarily, maybe you're a sports therapist. Maybe you are working with athletes. This is a great tool to add in. We have a lot of coaches. We have a lot of athletes that use this because it helps athletes with their mind because that's an important piece of athletics as well. We have to have that mental strength also. So this just shows you the wide variety that you can work with. So I used some very specific examples when I was going through the portal, but remember, play attention works with a wide variety. So if I didn't specifically mention who you're using it with right now, that doesn't mean that there's not a path for you and we can work through that with you. So now let's talk about some ways to engage on bigger scales with our clients, right? So once we determine who it is that we are targeting, who is our audience, who are we working with specifically, now it's time to start to engage with them. One easy and free way to do that is Facebook. So we talked about social media yesterday, and a really great way to engage with clients is through a Facebook Live, okay? So you're able to reach a broad audience. You're able to engage with them one-on-one. They're able to engage with you, ask you questions, things like that as you go forward, right? So you can do, I mentioned yesterday, a big area of Facebook you're seeing is Facebook groups. If you're familiar with Facebook groups, go ahead and raise your hand. Just go ahead and just quickly raise your hand, and I'll take a look here at everybody that's attending. So if you're familiar with a Facebook group or you use Facebook groups, go ahead and raise your hand. I want to see how many people are familiar with that, because if you're not, I want to give a little bit of guidance on that. So it looks like just a few of you are interested or are familiar with that. So Facebook has created Facebook groups, and you might have seen they have some commercials sometimes about Facebook groups and connecting with your people, right? So Facebook, when you start there, you have an option to create a personal page, and you have an option to create a business page. Okay. So obviously your personal page is for that, for personal usage. Business page is created for your business. Now there's nonprofits, there's businesses that have brick and mortar, there's virtual businesses, there's businesses that are selling a product on there, there's businesses that are doing a service. And then there's Facebook business pages that are just groups for things, right? They're connecting with individuals. And the tricky thing about a Facebook page is that sometimes it's hard, the algorithm's very hard, right? So if you are not constantly getting engagement, right? If people aren't commenting, liking, sharing, you could have 90,000 people on your page and maybe only 1% see the information that you're providing, right? So it's a very, very small group of individuals that are actually seeing your information, right? And that's partly because there are options for you to pay and boost and things like that. And Facebook, just like everything else, is a business, right? So whereas 10 years ago, you could do a lot of free marketing, now they're trying to gear towards marketing, paid for marketing. Now, don't get me wrong, a Facebook post that you boost is a lot cheaper than running a TV ad, right? So still a really great use of funds, but not that free as it once was. So with that being said, Facebook has also provided an opportunity for, and it could be individual, it can be business, to create a group. So a group is a much smaller set, very specific generally in what you're doing. And it can get big. I mean, you can have a group that has, 90,000 people in it if you want. But with a group, the algorithm's a lot easier for individuals to see that information, right? So they see the information more. You're looking for a very specific group of individuals, so it's easier to get that engagement. They're specifically reaching out for you. So groups are a little bit better way. And you can go live in a group just like you can in a page, and you can advertise things. And it's a great way to kind of transition people into having that more engagement. So a way a lot of individuals will run their business page is they will offer an event, but you have to join their group, right? Because they know in that group, they're going to have more of your attention in that group because it's a little bit smaller setting. There's more engagement. You're providing more materials for that. Still free, right? But you're guiding them into that group. And that way you can share a lot more information about your business and you can go live. So that would be my recommendation. If you're going to use Facebook Live, you create a group and you go live in that group. You create an event at this time. Now, again, you're going to need to do some research of when is it going to be most effective for me to go live? Am I working with adults? And so maybe I want to do something over lunch, right? Because sometimes at the end of the day, it's harder to engage adults in the evening. Or am I engaging parents to work with their children? And so I'm going to need to do something on the evening. Now, the great thing about when you go on Facebook Live, it posts to either your page or your group, wherever you're going live, so that people can see it later. They don't necessarily have to only view it live. That's going to be a little bit different than when we talk about the webinar piece. But with Facebook Live, once you get done going live, your live is there. It shows how long it is, shows people that answered questions during that in the comment section. So it's a really great tool. So the benefits behind it, cost effective, you can reach a large group, and it's real-time engagement, okay? The negative side of Facebook Live is you are not gathering people's email information, right? So we talked about creating that email list, having that group, directing them to your website. You're not going to get that in a Facebook Live option. Now, you're not going to be paying anything for it, but, and there are benefits. You're reaching a lot of individuals, but you're not going to have as much control over the information you're getting back from them, right? And if you have a huge group, if you've ever done a Facebook Live or if you've ever seen a Facebook Live, questions are coming really fast if you have a really big group. So sometimes it's hard to address all of those questions, where it's going to be a little bit different when we talk about the webinar piece. But a great option for you to engage with individuals. And a good option would be, I'm going to do a Facebook Live to talk about, play attention, talk about this new endeavor I have, or this way that I can help, right? And then I'm going to invite you to a webinar where then I can have you go to my website, enroll yourself, and then I'm gathering some more information. So a great starting to kind of layer that on as we're going forward. So that, of course, leads me to the next section where we're talking specifically about hosting your own webinars. So this is a way to be creative, go live often, and reach a broad audience. So this is going to be a little bit more structured than what your Facebook Live would be, because on Facebook Live, it's harder to put slides on there. It's harder to do all of those pieces. You're kind of just sharing information, connecting with your audience, your group, but with a webinar, it's a little bit more content based. And not that Facebook Lives can't provide that content, but this has got a little bit more structure to it, right? Plus, you could have individuals go to register on your website. So we talked about ebooks, right? Hosting an ebook, that's a great lead generator. So are webinars, because we're asking them to go on there and to register for our webinar. Again, in Play Attention Specific, we have a webinars tab. So we have a resources tab where our success stories are, any events we're hosting, like our 30-day mindfulness challenge, our ebooks, things like that are hosted under our resources. But we have a very specific tab for webinars because we do host webinars pretty often, at least twice a month, sometimes a little bit more. And so it gives individuals an opportunity to go and see what we have, what's upcoming, and then they click on it, they register, and then we receive their email address, right? So we use Zoom. We use Zoom as a host group. Now, you can create a Zoom account and you can host a webinar at no cost. It's gonna look a little different than what you see on mine, because we do have a paid account. You're gonna see more of individuals' pictures, right? If you've ever been on a webinar where there are a lot of people, you see everybody's faces. You're going to have that, and you're going to be limited, I believe it's to 45 minutes. Now, Zoom has a lot of paid options that are pretty affordable, that you can start hosting the larger groups, right? So ours hosts, I think we can host 1,000 people at one time, right? Because we have a lot larger groups when we do our webinars, but there's levels that you can come into and join. Gives you a little bit more opportunity because, number one, as I mentioned, you can invite and have them register with you. So it's a great lead generator because you're collecting information. You have the individuals, when you use Zoom, you have the individuals that attended, so you can reach out to them specifically, right? You have the opportunity, like we do, to record your webinar, and so you can share that information via email afterwards, right? So still connect with them. Webinars are tricky because very often individuals will sign up for them, but very rarely do you have individuals attend live. So don't let that be a detriment to you, because if you'll have their information and you'll be able to follow up and connect with them to see if they've watched it, what questions they have. And so you have that opportunity as you go forward. It's very common for individuals to sign up for webinars and not attend live, but that's okay. That's why recording them is so important, and then following up. So some of the benefits behind a webinar, so there's going to be more benefits than your Facebook Live, is reaching out to a larger audience. You can boost your brand awareness, generate your new leads. You can nurture quality leads. So again, the individuals that actually took time out to attend, ask you questions, they're that quality. We want to nurture them. We want to reach out to them. Oftentimes in sales, they say, I think sometimes you have to touch individuals 8 times right? Before they'll actually purchase. Sometimes you have to touch them 8 times before they'll engage with you, right? So it's not that they're not interested, but they need that trust. And everybody's trust is at a different level. So we need to nurture them. We need to build that relationship. You can position yourself as an expert, right, in your niche area. And again, that goes back to who are you working with? It's always great to start small and then build. I attended a webinar on building your business, because we attend professional development as well, and the individual that was presenting said Amazon, right? You can buy anything on Amazon today, right? Anything. And now it's, if you have Prime, it's delivered like the next day, right? And regardless of your feelings on Amazon, Amazon started with books only. And some of you may not be old enough to remember that, or some of you just may never have realized that. But Amazon started with books only. And then they grew to where they're at now. So remember, you can be very specific in what you do and do it well, and then you can build from there, right? So finding that niche, being the expert in that, and then growing from there if you need to. Increase your audience's engagement, right? When you're providing them content that they want, they're ready to engage with you. They want to engage with you. You can promote your services subtly. So every webinar that you have ever attended, there's some kind of sales opportunity that's coming to you, right? Especially if it's free. The group is wanting to share things with you, provide you some free content, and there's always going to be an opportunity for you to purchase something, right? But it's a lot softer sell. It's a lot more subtle as you're going through. It allows you to save money because there's in some instances you can do your webinars for free, right? So very, very low cost. You can repurpose your webinar content. So you're building content, right? So you're building slides to go along with your webinar. So you can use that to create an ebook. You can use that for a flyer. You can use that for maybe you're actually going to go somewhere and do a town hall. You can repurpose those. So a lot of great ways. And remember, with our certified provider group, with Play Attention, we provide you those slides directly, right? So you already have them. You don't even have to create them. And you can boost your influences and your authority because people see you again as the expert, right? So this is what I mentioned earlier. You can, as a certified provider, you'll get a new webinar and script delivered every single month to you. Now you'll have the main Play Attention webinar that you can provide. That comes in that first group of information that I provided, but you will have that new PowerPoint presentation every single month with a script, with an ebook. So it's going to be related to that ebook. So that's another piece that you're providing, value you're providing to your clients, because you can say, I'm hosting this webinar about this specific topic, reading, ADHD and reading comprehension, or whatever we have that month. And then I'm going to provide you, everybody that attends is going to get this ebook, right? Which will provide you more information, right? So right off the bat, you're providing them all of this value for free. And again, what we're trying to do here with engaging with our audience is show them how much value we're providing to them at no cost. So then that shows when we do, when there is a paid product, how much more value they're going to get if they get this much value for free, right? Finally, one area that I think sometimes is not used to our benefit is local groups, our community, right? Networking with already established groups in your area that can help you reach your target audience. So again, this takes us back to the very beginning of the presentation of where we talked about who we are working with. There are groups associated with that, right? Are we working with individuals with PTSD? We can see if there's any local veterans groups around, right? The Legion halls, the VFWs, they generally host a monthly meeting. Do we know somebody in that group where we can come in and do a presentation, right? Are there PTO groups? Are we working with children? Are there PTO groups where we can go in and talk to parents, right? Are there a lot of these groups that are on Facebook that meet, they actually meet physically. So even though they're generally, either throughout the US or even international, there are still groups of these individuals that will meet up, that have meetups. So are they interested? Can you connect with those groups? Can you provide value to those groups? And then if they do have a meetup, connect with them, right? Provide that information. Are there any conferences going on in your area, right? So is there a big group? Is there a hospital? Is there a college? What are these? And I think sometimes we really forget the impact. And it's even more now, right? Because we've gone through the pandemic. So much has gone virtual, right? Over the last 2 years, almost three now, so much has gone virtual that we forget sometimes the value and the impact of actual face-to-face training. Host a lunch and learn, right? Find individuals in your area that you can invite to a lunch and learn and provide lunch and share the information, right? If you have a clinic, if you have a space that you're doing play attention in already, host an event. If you're gearing towards children, do a fun day, right? A fun day where maybe you bring in somebody that's going to do balloons and you have activities and games and things like that and present play attention, right? So these individual groups and the way that we can have those in-person connections are so very, very important. I think sometimes we forget that because we're always looking at that virtual aspect. And don't get me wrong, the virtual aspect is very important, but we have to also connect with people. We have to build that relationship. And there's many of us in that community that have that connection. And so working together to share what you have, and maybe you work with another provider in the area that provides something else, and now you're working together and you're both bringing value in. So researching that, and that again goes back to that beginning when we're setting those goals. What are those strategies we're going to focus on, right? Are we going to focus on, and when we start focusing virtually, right? The recommendation is that you only start with two platforms at one time. So is that YouTube? Is that Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it Pinterest? What is that platform? Is it TikTok? And focus on two of them and do it really well, and then supplement these other things in, right? Webinars, ebooks, connections in the local community. I think, again, that's very valued and underutilized, connecting with those groups, right? And building those relationships as we go forward. So that is our topic today. So we have covered a lot about how we build up those audiences, right? How we determine who that target is, that target market, that target audience, and then how do we start to engage them? What are some ways that we can start connecting with them and building those relationships? So in turn, we're bringing those leads in, we're nurturing those leads, we're building those relationships, we're putting them through that funnel, and we're converting them into a sale. Okay, so lots of information provided today. Please start typing in your questions that you have. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about, once you have your target audience, once you've started to engage with them, how can we move them through that funnel, right? So I've identified who I want to work with. I've started to build that funnel of reaching out to them, connecting with them. And now I want to nurture them and I want to engage them more, right? How do I work with them specifically? And how do I start to use what I know as a play attention professional to start to help them solve their problems, right? And then remember, if you're new to play attention and you're a home user or you're not a user at all and you're interested in learning more about professionally, you can type in consultation. If you are a professional and you are not a certified provider and you want to learn more about all of the materials I've shared with you yesterday and today and how you can gain access to those, go ahead and type in certified provider, right? And remember, if we have those big questions, we can answer those on Friday. Okay, so Susan's got a couple of questions here: affiliate program and a town hall on Friday. Yes, I can talk about on Friday. Let's dig in a little bit on how to do either a lunch and learn, a town hall. where so basically you're interested in hosting an event. Is that correct, Susan? Just give me a yes or no if that's kind of the line that you want me to go down. You're interested in hosting an in-person event. Okay. So we will address on Friday what are the steps that we need to do to host an in-person event. When I talk about affiliate program, an affiliate program is a program for, it depends on the business, right? Will depend on what the affiliate program looks like. Oftentimes you see affiliate marketers on social media. So if you've ever watched something where they're talking about a product and they have a link available for you to either get a discount or learn more about that product, they are doing affiliate marketing for that product. Now, with Play Attention, it's a little bit different because most businesses are, when we start talking about clicks, on Instagram or clicks on TikTok, we're talking about, hundreds of thousands of clicks, right? For some of these really big individuals, influencers. So a lot of times you could do a program where if you have an individual that's used Play Attention, you can kind of use the affiliate program as kind of a referral program, right? So they provide an individual information about Play Attention, and that individual comes to your clinic and they do an informational visit about Play Attention. So maybe that person that referred them, maybe you give them a free session, right? Maybe you give them access to a free game. Maybe you do something like that for them. Maybe you give them a gift card, right? For something else that you're associated with. Then maybe that person goes ahead and purchases the program. Do you then discount them again? Do you provide them some other kind of bonus? So basically, when we're talking about affiliate, is generally, especially with Play Attention, you want to work with somebody that's familiar with Play Attention, that's used Play Attention, and that can provide that information, that informal, kind of like an advocate for the program to direct them your way. So it looks a little bit different for Play Attention, when you're working with a skincare product or things like that, you can do lots of clicks, and a lot of big companies will pay for clicks. So, if you get 100 clicks, they pay you to do that. So that's where you start to get into affiliate marketing. Really what I've seen work best in Play Attention is the referral piece. At Play Attention, oftentimes here, when individuals will refer, we do that. We offer them free games. We offer them assessments, a free assessment. We offer them things like that associated with that. So, that should help provide you a little bit more information on that. And then, yes, Susan, we will cover, an event, whether it be a town hall, lunch and learn, they're all pretty much the same. But if you want to host a physical event at your clinic, I will go through that on Friday. If you could let me know, kind of give me an idea of the target that you're looking for. Are you guys working with both children and adults? Or are you specifically working one or the other? If you can share that with me, that will help me provide you with a little bit more information. I still will cover both. That way individuals on both sides will get a benefit out of that. But definitely, you can shoot me a message and let me know, hey, if we do a town hall, we would be interested in both children and adults, bringing them in, or we're more specific towards children or adults right now. That's kind of what we're looking for. So if you can share that with me, that will be really helpful in that. So thank you all again for attending. I know it takes a lot, especially since we're hosting every single day of the week, but I really appreciate you coming today. I hope the information today that was provided was really helpful. I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Remember, about 10 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, you should get the recording for today. And then again, we will be live tomorrow at 11:30, and really talking about how we can use tools to really pinpoint the areas of pain that our clients are feeling, and then showing them how Play Attention addresses those pain points. Because at the end of the day, all of your clients want to know, what can you do for me, right? They're looking for themselves. They're looking for their child. They don't care about what you've done. I mean, they do care about what you've done with other people, but at the end of the day, they're looking for what are you going to do for me? That's very much the consumer environment we have. And so providing really great quality to show them exactly what play attention can do to hit those pain points and reverse them. Okay. So thank you again so much. I appreciate you all being here. I look forward to connecting with you tomorrow. Thanks again. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to shoot an email my way. Thanks so much. Take care.